Last week, the NFL issued a chilling statement about Kansas City Chiefs star kicker Harrison Butker's speech that revealed more about the NFL than about Harrison Butker. The media missed it, and I'll bet you did too. That's what I want to talk about today. This is Brad Bright. Welcome to the God is the Issue podcast, where I show how God is the issue in every issue. Now, unless you've been in the witness protection program, you've probably heard about the hornet's nest that Harrison Butker, the Kansas City Chiefs star kicker, kicked over with his commencement address at Benedictine College. He brashly defied the gods of diversity, equity, and inclusion. In his commencement address to the students at Benedictine College, he asserted that one of the most important titles a woman can embrace is homemaker. Oh my, the NFL did not like that. Now, he compounded his bigotry with statements like, as men, we set the tone of the culture. Be unapologetic for your masculinity. Do hard things. How toxic. Finally, he ended with, a life without God is no life at all. I mean, absolutely deplorable, right? Now, the chief diversity and inclusion officer of the NFL threw him under the bus, announcing, quote, Harrison Butker gave a speech in his personal capacity. His views are not those of the NFL, unquote. Now, let me repeat that last part for you. Are not those of the NFL. Now, he didn't give the standard disclaimer about Butker's views don't necessarily represent the views of the NFL. No, he said Butker's views are not the views of the NFL. Now, I never heard anyone in the media unpack this. Not even Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, has walked back that statement. Therefore, I assume Goodell must feel the same way. So here's the part the media missed. The NFL and Goodell do not value homemakers. The NFL and Goodell do not think masculinity is good. The NFL and Goodell do not believe God is important. That's the only possible implication of the word not the views of the NFL. Now, in addition, the entire godless left-wing media piled on. Some talk show hosts even implied Butker wasn't a real Christian. Really? The left-wing media that can't even define what a woman is trying to define what a Christian is? Oh, that's rich. Now, before I go any further, let me plainly state why I embrace Jesus and categorically reject DEI. Jesus said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. DEI says, do unto others as they have done unto you. If you don't believe me, then believe woke poster child Ibram X. Kendi, who wrote, quote, the only remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. The only remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination, unquote. In other words, discriminate against those who have discriminated against you. You see, you can be woke or you can follow Jesus, but you can't do both. You have to choose. Harrison Butker chose Jesus. Apparently, the NFL chooses Kendi. Courageous, God-fearing men like Butker, who are willing to man up, be the men Jesus calls them to be, and defy the godless DEI elites, are my heroes. But the part of Butker's address I want to focus on today is what he said about fathers. Quote, part of what plagues our society today is the lie that has been told to you that men are not necessary in the home or in our communities. This absence of men in the home is what plays a large role in the violence that we see all around the nation, unquote. Now, along with the NFL and Roger Goodell, every gun control groupie must have wet their pants when he said that. They seem to think that if guns did not exist, violent people would not exist. If you're offended by what Butker said, well, you might as well turn off this podcast right now, because I'm going to pick up where Butker left off in talking about fathers, which, by the way, is not the view of the NFL. Now, absentee fathers are not just the cause of increasing violence. Absentee fathers are the cause of many of our other cultural ills as well. See, the problem in the Black community is not white privilege, it is fatherless homes. Nearly 70% of Black babies are born to unmarried mothers. The problem at Columbia University is not protesters throwing temper tantrums like 3-year-olds. It is college students who didn't have strong, loving, and engaged fathers. The discipline problems in the public schools is not primarily the result of bad teachers. It is the inevitable result of AWOL fathers. The primary cause of abortion is not girls who can't say no. The primary cause of abortion is fathers who don't love, cherish, and protect their daughters. The porn industry is not the cause of porn addiction. It is a result of fathers who are either absent, disengaged, or who are addicted to porn themselves. And again, the primary cause of gun violence is not guns, it is absentee dads. Almost all of America's problems can be traced to broken fathers, and broken fathers are the result of not teaching boys who God is. See, broken fathers are the result of teaching boys survival of the fittest instead of do unto others as you would have them do unto you, of replacing Jesus with Darwin. Broken fathers are the result of public schools daily teaching boys that God is irrelevant. And if God is irrelevant, then morality is a fairy tale. And if morality is a fairy tale, then a good dad will embody survival of the fittest, not love your neighbor. That's scary. Broken fathers are the result of boys being babysat by Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Disney, and the internet rather than having dinner with their dads. See, if you teach a boy he was created in the image of God, then most likely he will eventually start to act like it. It will probably even influence the type of father he becomes. Likewise, if you teach a boy that he is the result of survival of the fittest, dog eat dog, most likely he will eventually start to act like it. It will also influence the type of father he becomes. It's a simple matter of cause and effect. Let me ask you a question. Who do you think would make a better father? Someone who believes they are descended from an ape or someone who believes they were created in the image of God? That's not a trick question. In America, we now live in a post-God culture. So let's look at the symptoms of that culture, okay? Over 20,000 people are murdered in America every year. In addition, we either starve or slice off the arms and legs of over 500,000 fetuses annually. We allow fentanyl and other similar drugs to cross the border, resulting in close to 100,000 deaths every year. Somewhere between 15,000 to 50,000 women are sex trafficked in the U.S. each year. We tell young people that if their God-determined sex and their self-perceived gender don't match, that their body is the problem, not their mind. We force our daughters to compete against stronger biological males who believe they are women. If girls point out the unfairness, they're penalized, not protected. Where are their courageous dads? Apparently AWOL. See, dads who love their children do hard things just like Jesus did the hard stuff for us. Dads man up to protect their children. Need I go on? Does anyone think these are symptoms of a healthy culture? Our culture is seriously broken. No wonder our fathers are broken too. But what is the core problem? Dads aren't teaching their children who God really is and why it matters. If you don't teach a boy about God's mercy, how will he know how to become a merciful dad? If you don't teach a boy about God's perfect justice, how will he know how to teach his kids right from wrong? If you don't teach a boy what God's perfect love is like, how will he know how to be a loving dad and husband? If you don't teach a boy about God's perfect faithfulness, how will he know how to be a faithful father and husband? And if you don't teach a boy to ask, how does it make God feel rather than how does it make you feel? How is he going to grow up to be anything other than a self-centered narcissist? It's simple cause and effect. If there is no God, there is no overarching standard. The Old Testament put it this way: everyone did what was right in his own eyes. It's like the old adage says, garbage in, garbage out. You see, you become like what you focus on. You become what you put into your brain. Your children will become what you allow into their brains. Think of it like this. There's nothing wrong with occasional junk food and candy, but a steady diet of it will harm your body. Likewise, if a boy devours a steady diet of Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Disney, and the internet, what he consumes will shape the kind of dad and husband he will become later. On the other hand, if a boy is raised on do unto others as you would have them do unto you, that will shape the kind of husband and father he will later become. That's why we didn't let our kids have smartphones until they went away to college. They used flip phones. All their friends had some smartphones, but not ours. Did that make us mean parents or loving parents? That's why we only let our kids play video games for 2 hours on Saturdays. The other 6 days, we put healthy food into their hearts and minds. That's why our kids could only use their computers in the common areas of the house, never in their bedrooms with the doors closed. That's why family dinner 5 times a week was mandatory. That's where we engaged with our kids and transmitted both our values and our view of God to them. That's why we had family devotions every night. We didn't leave it up to the church to teach them who God is. That was also part of our job description as parents. Yes, we intentionally programmed our kids' brains and hearts. I admit it. That's what loving moms and dads do. What will you allow to enter the hearts and minds of your boys? It will heavily influence the kind of father they will become. Until they grow up and leave home, you and your wife are the gatekeepers. You choose what goes into their minds and what is kept out. You are the programmer. You lay the foundation for what kind of father they will become to your grandchildren. You see, good fathers are made, not born. Let me repeat that. Good fathers are made, not born. Fathers will either reflect the love, mercy, justice, and faithfulness of our Heavenly Father, or they won't. But it doesn't just happen. Being a good father is a choice. First, it is your choice of what you permit into their heads and hearts. Later, they will have to make that choice for themselves. But the choice starts with you. Bottom line, it is a choice to teach them to follow the God who said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, rather than the woke gods of culture who preach, do unto others as they have done unto you, the gods of Darwin who preach survival of the fittest, dog eat dog. You will either teach them to man up and become the courageous, loving fathers Jesus calls them to be, or you will teach them to either be passive because of porn and porn addiction, or abusive because of a steady diet of violent movies and video games. Now, let me say parenthetically, you see a lot of men like Sean Diddy Combs who claim to be Christians but clearly don't follow Jesus. You even see a lot of pastors who preach the Bible but don't follow Jesus. You see a lot of dads who go to church but don't follow Jesus. See, anyone can call themselves a Christian. But the real issue is, do they follow Jesus? There's a huge difference. Calling yourself a Christian, going to church, or even preaching the Bible doesn't make you a follower of Jesus. Following Jesus makes you a follower of Jesus. Doing what Jesus said makes you a follower of Jesus. Doing what Jesus did makes you a follower of Jesus. So don't whine to me about all the fathers who claim to be Christians but are horrible dads, or all the pastors who preach the gospel who cheat on their wives and love money more than God, or all the Christian businessmen who justify their greed with, it's just business. If you do, my first question for you will be, but are they following Jesus? The Jesus who said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Calling yourself a Christian doesn't make you a Christian any more than sleeping in a garage makes you a car. Jesus said, follow me. Following Jesus is what makes you a real Christian. Either you follow Jesus or you don't. Folks, it's time for a lot of self-proclaimed Christians to man up and follow Jesus. It's time for a lot of Christian dads to man up and start teaching their children who God really is and why it matters. It's time for a lot of men to stop playing pretend Christianity and actually follow Jesus. Self-proclaimed Christian men who don't follow Jesus are the problem in America today. Let me repeat that. Self-proclaimed Christian men who don't really follow Jesus are the problem in America today. It's time to man up and follow Jesus. Quit calling yourself a Christian if you're not following Jesus. Just stop it. The most important thing Harrison Butker said was this: a life without God is no life at all. God is the starting and ending point of every day, especially when it comes to knowing how to be a great dad. If you'd like help in teaching your kids who God really is and why it matters, go to brightmedia.org. That's brightmedia.org, and click on the For Kids tab. It's fun, it's free, it's practical. It'll even make you look smart to your kids. Now, if you would like help in starting on that journey for yourself, or you want to help a young father who's just beginning his journey, go to brightmedia.org and order a copy of God, Who Are You Anyway? It answers the most basic question of life: who is God and why does it matter in my life today? It's simple and practical. See, God is the issue in every issue, especially the issue of fatherhood. Butker got that right. Roger Goodell got it wrong. This is Brad Bright. Thanks for joining me today. If you found this podcast helpful, please like, subscribe, and when subscribing, don't forget to click on the bell so you'll be notified whenever I publish a new podcast. God bless. And remember, our best role model for fatherhood is God himself. So men, be courageous, man up and follow Jesus. Who cares what Roger Goodell thinks anyway?